Viewers, on the fateful night of December 6th this month, a fire which broke out at the Birch by Romeo Lane nightclub in Goa's Arpora claimed the lives of 25 young people while injuring 50 others. While 3 lost their lives due to severe burns, most of them died due to suffocation, and there was only one narrow entry and exit point to the buzzing nightclub. The unfortunate incident soon made headlines, after which the state government set up a 4-member Magisterial Inquiry Committee to probe the matter. Now, the Indian Express has learnt of some exclusive details from this probe, citing a senior official who is privy to the report. While various government departments are under scrutiny, the probe finds the local panchayat as the main culprit behind the systemic failure over the years. Quoting an official, the Indian Express reported that the trade license of the nightclub expired in March 2024, but the panchayat failed to seal the premises or stop its operations. And the report also highlights that the panchayat failed to act on its own demolition order, and there was a window, viewers, to demolish the structure before the order was stayed. But during that window period, panchayat did not take any decision or any action against the club. The panchayat issued no objection certificates despite complaints of the construction being approved in an eco-sensitive zone and without the occupancy certificate. The report also mentions that NOC for sanitation and a police verification antecedents document were allegedly forged by owners of the club, Saurabh and Gaurav Luthra. The report also points out that there were at least 7 approvals given by the local Arpora Panchayat and government departments to the club owners despite all odds. And the approvals include trade, excise and food safety licenses, a pollution body nod, and 3 no objection certificates. All of these are now under scrutiny, but the sad part is that it's too late and very little that was done prior to the incident that claimed the lives of 25 innocent partygoers. We have Savio Rodrigues, the founder and editor-in-chief of Goa Chronicle, joining us live on this broadcast. A very good afternoon to you, Savio. Firstly, let me point towards a social media post that you put out, Savio. You said, and you directly named IAS officer Arun Kumar Mishra. But on what documentary basis and evidence have you named such a high-profile individual, Savio?
Well, you should follow the tweet afterwards where I've actually carried out a story and I put out the documents that are there. Now, Arun Kumar Mishra and his team were in charge of the Goa Coastal Regulation Authority. And a 3-member committee of this particular organization had actually highlighted the the glaring irregularities in the structure. However, on October 9th, the case in which the findings were done by the GCZMA committee itself, committee members, was set aside on the grounds that it was not the jurisdiction of the GCZMA to investigate this matter. Now, Arun Kumar Mishra apparently was the chairman at that point of time. He was heading this particular organization. So you should read the follow-up story on how the various illegalities was pointed out by a 3-member committee, but the chairman and other members of that committee later on decided that it was not their jurisdiction within. So while the village panchayat is certainly the genesis of where the corruption that led to the death of 25 innocent people is under investigation, it is also important that authorities like the GCZMA, the fire department, the police department, all these important departments that have the opportunity to have a look at the Birch nightclub, which was there for not 1 or 2 months, it's been there for over 2 years, they could have stopped the illegality. But nobody found the temerity in them, the importance of doing their duty in them to stop this. And because of which you've lost 25 innocent people. Now, Arun Kumar Mishra is somebody that has not yet been investigated on these particular lines. And that's the reason why I've highlighted his name and that of the committee at that point of time. The idea is today that we will find and blame just one aspect of it. But the corruption system is not on one aspect. The corruption system had checks and balances across various departments, but every single department has failed. In fact, it's the chief minister of Goa who had come out and very categorically stated that this particular nightclub did not have any licenses, it was illegal. The question is, if the government knows it's illegal and did not have the licenses in place, then why for 2 years not a single body within the government took the necessary action? And when reports were given, like to the GCZMA, and even the police tried to raise this issue up, but they were stopped by a then IPS officer saying that, bury the case. Now, these are things that are happening in Goa. There are, in 2020, there were 20 nightclubs in Goa. Okay. Most of them at that point of time were legal and they had the permissions required. In 2025, there are 200 nightclubs in Goa, and most of them are illegal. So, over the last 5 years, there's been a mushrooming of illegal nightclubs in Goa right under the eyes of the government, right under the eyes of the authorities that are supposed to have checks and balances in place, right before the eyes of everyone who's coming and looking at these monstrosities that are around, thinking that they are legal and learning that they are illegal only when a tragedy happens. Today, 25 innocent people have lost their lives. For what? They came into a nightclub assuming it was legal and every safety parameter was in place. But unfortunately, that was not the truth. Are we going to have a sitting time bomb for other tourists and locals in Goa with these illegal nightclubs that don't have the proper requisite permissions? Most of them are built in no development zones, like this particular property. It was in a no development zone, it was on a salt pan land, and yet people turned a blind eye. This reeks of very, very serious corruption. I've been saying this from day one. It is the village panchayat that's the genesis, and it's coming out in the magisterial report. But what is also important, it doesn't stop at the village panchayat. Please understand, the village panchayat does not work in isolation. There has to be the various departments that turned a blind eye, and therefore this illegality continued, and that led to the death of 25 innocent people. And I see that as a problem. I think it's important, and I'm happy that the High Court, more than the magisterial inquiry, the High Court has taken suo motu cognizance of what has happened, and the rightful case will happen in the month of Jan, where the High Court will, I believe, reach its own conclusion to what happened at the tragedy, and that's required. Everything that you see within this particular unfortunate tragedy that happened reeks of corruption at the highest offices. And I'm sad to say that that corruption could also reach to Delhi as well. The power that the Luthra brothers had enforced, the power that the Luthra brothers had to even abscond on the morning of the crime is a reflection that they knew that they were going to be facing the heat, and that's why they decided to take off to Thailand. It's good that the government of Goa and the Indian government acted swiftly, because the anger of the people is so high. That's why they had to be brought back. But it's not the Luthras. I kept saying right at the onset, the Luthras were responsible for the act on the day, but the death penalty on those innocent victims was signed when the illegalities were allowed by the village panchayat and organizations like the GCZMA. That is when you sign their death warrant out. And that is what needs to be corrected, because there are 200 nightclubs in Goa, which is known. The media has put it out. And yet most of those nightclubs are illegal. We are just shutting down a few of them. Why can't we shut down all the nightclubs in Goa until all of them have all the required documents? You don't even have a policy in the state that talks about nightclub. Today, a bar and restaurant license is all that is required for a bar and restaurant to convert itself into a nightclub. That's exactly what the Birch nightclub was. There is no concept or legality called nightclub in Goa. So today, if you want a nightclub culture, which is what is seen by the promotion of 200 illegal nightclubs, which the people of Goa don't want, But if the government thinks for tourism you require that, then where is the legal framework for it? Why is it coupled with bar and restaurant? Today, a 20-seater bar and restaurant follows the same policies like a 3,000-seater nightclub. How is that even possible? So there's glaring corruption going on. There's a huge amount of money coming into the nightclubs. We had interviewed a former government officer. The former government officer told us that the bribe take on a monthly basis is between 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs. Even if you were to take a minimum of 10 lakhs and multiply it into 200 nightclubs, that's almost 20 crore of corruption money per month. And that is the extent of the corruption that is going on within the system in Goa with the illegal nightclubs. And that is why they have to be stopped. This is not Goa's culture. Goa does not need illegal nightclubs. Goa has been a place of entertainment, music, dancing, and that's acceptable to everybody, but not illegality.
That's right,
This is the
Savio, and
first time
like you also
21
clearly
people
pointed
died.
out, the Indian Express report also highlights that it was the Panchayat Raj, and along with that, the Panchayat Raj had its own demolition order, but that demolition order was stayed. The license had expired in March 2024. So this is not, incompetence. This is complete criminal negligence and also collusion, because authorities are also hand in glove to give a free run to this club to operate without the necessary documents that was required.
Absolutely. The Indian Express report clearly states what was their finding through whatever details they got on the magisterial inquiry. But I'm saying, while the genesis is the village panchayat, and I agree with it, and it's the first statement that I put out, I don't think it stops there. You see, let's assume for a moment that the village panchayat is the first step of the criminality. The criminality could have been checked on the other steps: the fire department, the police department, the GCZMA, the excise. Why is it that every single one of this department turned a blind eye? It is not possible that these departments turn a blind eye when these departments are extremely strict with the common man in Goa. So it is obvious that these departments turned a blind eye because there were certain levels of gratification or political pressure put on them to turn a blind eye. In fact, in some cases, you will find out as the investigation goes ahead, they relied completely on the Luthra brothers' definition or explanation on certain criteria and processes that needed to have been followed, that those departments did not even go and check whether these processes were in place. That is how sick it is. That is how dereliction of duty has been done, and 25 people have lost their lives. So while I'm happy that the village panchayat has been questioned, and the village panchayat, particularly the panchayat members and the sarpanch, you should actually investigate their disproportionate assets at this point of time.
That's right.
You will realize that it does not stop at the panchayat alone.
Panchayat is, like you said, Savio, it is the first level of corruption. That's where you first approach, and then they, direct you to higher authorities to get you more free run, more free passes. But my question to you, Savio, is if the the Goa Coastal Zonal Management Authority had acted on its own committee warning, do you think the lives of 25 innocents could have been saved?
Yes, because what would have happened is that there would have been a sealing of that particular property. Now, this report or the lack of action on the report of the three committee members themselves happened on October 9th. If the committee at that point of time realized that let's pay a heed to our own report, then they would have sealed it and further investigations would have happened. The chairman and the senior team at that point of time brushed aside the finding of their own committee. Now, why did Arun Kumar Mishra and a senior experienced IAS officer, see, look at the difference I'm trying to point out. A village panchayat is expected, because of their lack of experience, to make mistakes or to be corrupt because they are in the political space. But an IS officer is a decorated individual. You expect them to do their duty because that's what they study hard for. Now, if they are going to fall prey to corruption, then where is the checks and balances in this country?
There are no checks and balances, Savio, and that's exactly why 25 innocents, paid the price for the negligence, the criminal negligence, and, the free run to all these illegal club owners to run their businesses without any checks and, protocols. And this is something that Goa CM and the Goa government must really answer. If there is systemic rot, what about those above the Panchayat Raj? Will action be taken against IAS and IPS officers who are deeply in bed with these corrupt club owners? That's the big question, Savio. But thank you for joining us with your insights on this particular case study, because this is more than what meets the eye, viewers.